Have you noticed something strange at your local grocery store lately? Shelves that were once full now sitting empty, price tags changing overnight, and savvy shoppers walking out with carts of very specific items, while others leave frustrated and confused. What most people don't realize is that this isn't random. It's quiet preparation. August 2025 isn't just another month. It's the tipping point that seasoned preppers have been anticipating for years. They're not broadcasting it. They're simply stocking up on 6 key foods before everyone else catches on. I've spent over a decade tracking supply chain disruptions and food security patterns. I've studied every major shortage, every price spike, every moment when prepared families thrived while unprepared ones struggled. And what I'm seeing now in August 2025 is unlike anything I've witnessed before. We're facing a perfect storm. Global wheat production has dropped to lows not seen since 2008. Transportation costs are up nearly 50% in just 6 months, and several major U.S. food processing facilities have shut down indefinitely due to breakdowns and labor disputes. On top of that, extreme weather is wiping out harvests across multiple continents. Yet you won't see these headlines dominating the news. The mainstream media is focused elsewhere while the real crisis quietly builds. Smart preppers know that the best time to act is when no one else is paying attention, and that's exactly what they're doing. The 6 foods I'm about to reveal aren't random pantry items. They're strategic choices, selected for nutritional value, shelf life, versatility, and shrinking availability windows. Each one addresses a specific weak point in our fragile food system. Acting now means staying ahead of the shortages that will soon be obvious to everyone else. This isn't fear-mongering, it's calculated preparation based on hard data. Families who prepare today will continue eating well, while others face higher prices, long lines, and empty shelves. The question isn't whether these shortages are coming, it's whether you'll be ready when they hit. Food 1. Whole grain pasta. Now, before you roll your eyes and think this is obvious, let me explain why whole grain pasta specifically has become the secret weapon of informed preppers this August. It's not just about carbohydrates, it's about understanding which varieties will become scarce first and why. The durum wheat shortage that began in North Dakota and Saskatchewan has now spread across the entire Great Plains region. This isn't the soft wheat used for bread. This is the hard wheat essential for quality pasta production. And the supply disruption is more severe than most people realize. I spoke with 3 different pasta manufacturers last week, and they all told me the same story. Their raw material costs have doubled since June, and they're struggling to maintain production schedules. One plant manager in Ohio showed me their inventory projections through December. The numbers were sobering, but here's why whole grain pasta is specifically valuable. It contains significantly more protein, fiber, and essential nutrients than regular pasta. During extended periods when fresh foods become expensive or unavailable, these nutrients become crucial for maintaining health and energy levels. My friend David learned this during the supply chain disruptions of 2023. His family relied heavily on their pasta reserves for 3 months when grocery prices spiked beyond their budget. He told me that choosing whole grain varieties made a noticeable difference in how satisfied and energized his family felt, compared to neighbors who were eating mostly refined carbohydrates. The storage advantages are remarkable too. Properly stored whole grain pasta can maintain its quality for up to 8 years. That's not a typo. 8 years of shelf-stable nutrition that costs less than $2 per pound today. But those prices won't last. Wholesale distributors are already implementing allocation limits for restaurants and institutional buyers. That means retail availability will tighten significantly over the next 60 days. The smart move is securing a 6-month supply per family member before those allocation limits reach consumer-level purchases. I have been tracking prices at major retailers, and I'm seeing increases of 20 to 30% per month in some regions. The pasta that costs $1.49 today will likely cost over $3 by Christmas. And that's assuming it remains available. Here's a storage tip most people don't know. Transfer your pasta from cardboard boxes into airtight containers immediately after purchase. Those thin cardboard packages offer no protection against moisture or pests. A simple plastic storage container with a tight-fitting lid will extend shelf life dramatically and prevent expensive losses from pantry invaders. The versatility factor is huge too. Whole grain pasta serves as the foundation for countless meals. Mix it with canned tomatoes and you have a complete meal. Add some olive oil and herbs for something more sophisticated. Combine it with beans for a protein-rich dish that can sustain your family through difficult times. But most people are still thinking about pasta as just a side dish or a quick weeknight dinner. Smart preppers understand that pasta can be the cornerstone of food security. It's filling, nutritious, affordable, and shelf-stable. When other protein sources become expensive or unavailable, pasta combined with simple ingredients creates satisfying meals that keep families fed. The production bottlenecks are getting worse, not better. Equipment failures at processing plants, transportation delays, and raw material shortages are creating a cascade effect throughout the entire pasta supply chain. The companies that manage to maintain production are prioritizing their largest commercial accounts, which means retail availability suffers. This isn't speculation. This is happening right now, while most consumers remain unaware. The prepared families are quietly filling their pantries with whole grain pasta, while it's still accessible and affordable. They understand that food security isn't about hoarding. It's about recognizing patterns and taking reasonable action before problems become crises. Next week, when your neighbors are wondering why pasta prices have jumped again, or why certain varieties are out of stock, you'll already have your family covered. That peace of mind is worth far more than the few extra dollars you'll spend securing your supply today. The smart preppers aren't waiting for confirmation from news reports or government announcements. They're reading the signs and acting accordingly. And right now, those signs are pointing toward significant disruptions in pasta availability and pricing. Food, too, represents an even more critical vulnerability in our food system, and the supply situation is deteriorating faster than most experts predicted. Food, too. Canned tomatoes. Here's something that will shock you about what's happening to America's tomato supply right now. California produces 75% of the processed tomatoes in the United States. And this summer's heat dome combined with unprecedented water restrictions has created a disaster that most people haven't even heard about yet. I drove through California's Central Valley 3 weeks ago, and what I saw was devastating. Fields that should be lush with red tomatoes were brown and withered. Farmers were making impossible choices about which crops to water and which ones to let die. The ones I spoke with weren't optimistic about next year either. But here's what makes this particularly urgent. The tomato processing season is extremely short. Most canned tomatoes you buy in stores come from a harvest window that lasts just 8 to 10 weeks. Miss that window, and you're looking at empty shelves until the following year. Smart preppers understand that canned tomatoes aren't just another pantry item. They're the foundation ingredient that transforms basic staples into actual meals. Rice becomes Spanish rice. Pasta becomes marinara. Beans become chili. Without tomatoes, your food storage becomes a collection of bland, monotonous ingredients that wear down morale fast. My prepper mentor taught me this lesson years ago during a practice run where my family ate only from our stored food for 30 days. By day 12, we were so tired of plain rice and beans that my kids started refusing meals. That's when I realized the psychological importance of flavor and variety in long-term food storage. The nutritional profile is incredible too. Canned tomatoes actually contain more lycopene than fresh tomatoes because the heating process during canning makes this powerful antioxidant more bioavailable. We're talking about serious immune system support and cardiovascular protection when other sources of fresh nutrition become expensive or scarce. Industry reports that I've been following show wholesale prices increasing by 40% since June. But retail prices haven't caught up yet because stores are still working through inventory they purchased months ago at lower costs. This creates a temporary window where smart shoppers can still secure canned tomatoes at reasonable prices. I spoke with a grocery chain buyer who told me something alarming. Their supplier informed them last Friday that October delivery schedules are already compromised. They're being asked to accept partial shipments and longer lead times. This buyer has been in the industry for 22 years, and he said he's never seen supply commitments this unreliable. The ripple effects extend far beyond just canned tomatoes. Tomato paste, sauce, and soup production all depend on the same raw material base. When one product becomes scarce, demand shifts to alternatives, creating shortages across the entire category. It's a cascade effect that catches unprepared consumers completely off guard. Here's what the prepared families are doing right now. They're buying cases, not individual cans. They're diversifying between whole tomatoes, diced tomatoes, and tomato sauce to maximize versatility. And they're choosing brands packed in the United States, rather than imported varieties that face additional transportation and tariff uncertainties. Storage is straightforward, but there are details most people miss. Canned tomatoes should be stored in cool, dry locations away from direct sunlight. The ideal temperature range is between 50 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Higher temperatures don't make the food unsafe, but they can affect texture and flavor over time. Rotation matters too. Use the oldest cans first and replace them with fresh stock. This keeps your supply current while ensuring nothing goes to waste. I mark purchase dates on the top of each can with a permanent marker. Simple system, but it prevents expensive mistakes. The versatility is almost unlimited. Canned tomatoes work in soups, stews, casseroles, and sauces. They can be the base for salsa when fresh ingredients aren't available. They add moisture and flavor to rice dishes. They turn simple ground meat into hearty meals that satisfy families during stressful times. What really concerns me is how few food production cycles people understand the timing of. Most consumers think food just magically appears on store shelves year-round. They don't realize that seasonal harvests determine availability for months or even years afterward. The tomato shortage developing right now won't be resolved by next month or even next season. Agricultural recovery takes time, especially when infrastructure has been damaged and farmers have lost money on failed crops. Some operations won't survive financially, which means permanently reduced production capacity. Smart preppers are securing 12 to 18 months' worth of canned tomatoes per family member. That might sound like a lot, but when you calculate how often your family uses tomato products in cooking, the numbers add up quickly. Better to have too much than to face empty shelves when everyone else finally realizes what's happening. The psychological benefits can't be overstated either. During uncertain times, familiar flavors provide comfort and stability. The ability to create meals that taste normal helps maintain morale and a family cohesion when everything else feels chaotic. Food 3 is where things get really interesting because this next item addresses a nutritional gap that most people don't even realize they have until it's too late. Food 3, dried legumes beyond just beans. I'm talking about lentils, split peas, and chickpeas that most Americans completely overlook. While everyone's focused on traditional navy beans and pintos, the real shortages are developing in these specialty legumes that provide superior nutrition and cooking versatility. Here's what caught my attention last month. India, which supplies 60% of the world's lentil exports, implemented sudden export restrictions to protect their domestic food security. That decision immediately impacted global availability, but most American consumers have no idea this happened because lentils aren't headline news. The timing couldn't be worse. These restrictions coincide with crop failures in Canada and Australia, two other major legume producers. When you lose 3 primary suppliers simultaneously, you're looking at shortages that will last well into 2026. The smart preppers who track agricultural reports saw this coming and started stockpiling in July. What makes this particularly strategic is the nutritional density we're talking about. 1 cup of cooked lentils delivers 18 grams of protein, 16 grams of fiber, and significant amounts of iron, folate, and potassium. Compare that to rice or pasta, and you're looking at a complete nutritional profile that can sustain human health during extended periods of limited food variety. My family discovered this during our emergency preparedness testing last winter. We spent 40 days eating only from our stored supplies, and the lentils became our secret weapon. They cook faster than beans, requiring only 20 minutes of simmering. They absorb flavors beautifully, and they provide the protein density that keeps you satisfied and energized. The storage advantages are phenomenal. Properly stored dried lentils maintain their nutritional value and cooking quality for up to 10 years. That's a decade of high-quality protein sitting quietly in your pantry, taking up minimal space and requiring no special equipment or maintenance. But here's where most people make critical mistakes. They buy small packages from the baking aisle instead of bulk quantities from warehouse stores or co-ops. Those little 1 pound bags cost 3 times more per serving than 25-pound bulk purchases. And during shortages, bulk suppliers often maintain availability longer than retail packaging operations. I spent an afternoon calling suppliers across the Midwest, and the story was consistent. Wholesale orders for specialty legumes are backlogged by 6 to 8 weeks. One distributor in Kansas told me they're prioritizing restaurant accounts over retail because restaurants place larger, more predictable orders. That means grocery store inventory will tighten first. The cooking versatility is where lentils really shine compared to other emergency foods. Red lentils break down into creamy textures perfect for soups and stews. Green lentils hold their shape and work beautifully in salads and side dishes. Split peas create hearty, filling meals that taste like comfort food rather than survival rations. During the Texas freeze crisis of 2024, my neighbor Jennifer fed her family of 5 for 2 weeks primarily on lentil-based meals when grocery stores were inaccessible. She told me the kids never complained because she could create different flavors and textures every day. Lentil curry one night, split pea soup the next, chickpea stew after that. The preparation requirements are minimal compared to other protein sources. Unlike dried beans, most lentils don't require overnight soaking. You can go from dried legumes to hot meal in under 30 minutes. When you're dealing with power outages or limited cooking fuel, that efficiency becomes incredibly valuable. Here's something most people don't realize. Legumes are nitrogen-fixing plants, which means they actually improve soil quality while growing. This makes them environmentally sustainable crops that farmers prefer during challenging growing conditions. But it also means that when agricultural resources become strained, legume production often gets prioritized for soil health rather than food production. The protein quality is remarkable too. Legumes provide complete amino acid profiles when combined with grains. That rice and lentil combination creates protein comparable to animal sources. During periods when meat becomes expensive or unavailable, this plant-based complete protein keeps families healthy and strong. Smart preppers are targeting specific varieties based on cooking characteristics and nutritional profiles. Red lentils for quick cooking soups, green lentils for salads and side dishes, split peas for hearty winter meals, chickpeas for versatility and fiber content, black-eyed peas for traditional flavors that kids recognize. The psychological comfort factor is huge. Unlike some emergency foods that scream crisis mode, legume-based meals taste normal. They're familiar flavors that maintain family morale during stressful periods. The ability to create satisfying, normal-tasting meals prevents the food fatigue that breaks down family cooperation. Food 4: coconut oil. Now, stay with me on this one, because while everyone's worried about food shortages, the smart preppers are also securing their cooking fat supplies. And coconut oil represents the most stable, versatile, and nutritionally valuable fat you can store long-term. Here's what's happening that most people missed. Palm oil production in Malaysia and Indonesia has been disrupted by labor shortages and equipment failures. Since palm oil is the primary cooking fat for food manufacturing worldwide, this creates ripple effects throughout the entire processed food industry. Coconut oil becomes the premium alternative, and demand is spiking faster than production can respond. The shelf life advantages are extraordinary. Virgin coconut oil stored properly in glass jars maintains its quality for up to 5 years without refrigeration. Compare that to vegetable oils that go rancid within months, and you're looking at a cooking fat that provides long-term food security without the anxiety of constant replacement. But it's not just about storage. Coconut oil provides medium-chain triglycerides that your body can convert directly to energy during high-stress situations. When you're dealing with emergency conditions and your body needs quick, sustainable fuel, coconut oil delivers energy that doesn't crash like sugar-based alternatives. I tested this during a wilderness survival course last spring. While other participants struggled with energy levels eating basic carbohydrates, adding coconut oil to my meals provided sustained energy that kept me alert and focused throughout demanding physical challenges. The difference was noticeable within hours. The versatility extends far beyond cooking. Coconut oil works as a natural preservative for other foods. It can be used for basic medical care when commercial products aren't available. It serves as emergency lighting fuel when mixed with simple wicks. During the 2023 power outages in Michigan, families with coconut oil had lighting options that lasted for days. Price trends are already showing the impact of supply disruptions. Wholesale costs have increased 38% since May, but retail prices haven't fully adjusted yet. The grocery stores are still working through inventory purchased at lower costs, creating a temporary window for strategic purchasing. The production timeline is what makes this particularly urgent. Coconut palms take 6 to 10 years to reach full production capacity. When growing regions face disruptions, the effects last for years, not months. Current supply shortages won't be resolved quickly through increased planting, because coconut production requires long-term agricultural commitments. Smart preppers are choosing organic, virgin coconut oil in glass containers specifically. The processing methods preserve nutritional value and extend shelf life. Plastic containers can affect flavor over time, and refined coconut oils lose many of the beneficial properties that make coconut oil valuable for emergency preparedness. The cooking applications are endless. High smoke point makes it perfect for frying and sautéing. Solid at room temperature means it works for baking applications. Neutral flavor when refined means it doesn't overpower other ingredients. During food shortages, having reliable cooking fat means the difference between edible meals and disappointing attempts at nutrition. Food 5 is going to surprise you because it's not what most preppers think about first, but it addresses one of the most overlooked aspects of food security that becomes critical during extended disruptions. Food 5. Apple cider vinegar. Before you dismiss this as just a health trend, understand that apple cider vinegar represents one of the most versatile and essential preservation tools that smart preppers are quietly stockpiling. And the supply situation is more precarious than most people realize. The apple harvest failures across Washington state and New York have created a cascade effect throughout the entire apple processing industry. Apple cider vinegar production depends on apple juice as the base material, and when apple supplies tighten, vinegar production gets cut first because fresh apple sales take priority. Here's what makes this critical. Apple cider vinegar is essentially liquid food preservation. It can extend the shelf life of vegetables, create shelf-stable pickled foods, and maintain nutritional value in stored produce. When fresh vegetables become expensive or unavailable, your ability to preserve seasonal abundance becomes invaluable. The fermentation properties provide probiotic benefits that support digestive health during periods of dietary stress. When you're eating primarily stored foods with limited variety, maintaining gut health becomes crucial for nutrient absorption and immune function. Apple cider vinegar provides beneficial bacteria that processed foods can't deliver. My grandmother taught me this lesson during my childhood visits to her farm. She maintained a root cellar filled with vegetables preserved in apple cider vinegar solutions. Those pickled vegetables provided vitamins and minerals throughout winter months when fresh produce was expensive or unavailable. The techniques she used are just as valuable today. The storage requirements are minimal. Apple cider vinegar with the mother intact can maintain its quality for years without refrigeration. Store it in cool, dark locations in glass containers, and you have preservation capability that outlasts most other pantry items. The acetic acid content naturally prevents spoilage and contamination, but the applications extend far beyond food preservation. Apple cider vinegar works as a natural cleaning agent when commercial products become expensive. It can be used for basic medical applications like wound cleaning and digestive support. During supply chain disruptions, having multi-purpose items reduces the number of specialized products you need to store. The price stability has been remarkable until recently. Apple cider vinegar costs remained steady for years while other food items experienced significant inflation. But that's changing rapidly as apple supplies tighten and demand increases from informed consumers who understand its preservation value. Smart preppers are securing gallon containers of organic apple cider vinegar with live cultures intact. The larger containers provide better value and reduce packaging waste. The organic certification ensures no synthetic additives that might interfere with preservation applications. The live cultures maintain probiotic benefits that pasteurized versions lack. The preservation techniques are straightforward, but require understanding proper ratios and methods. A basic pickling solution uses 1 part apple cider vinegar to 1 part water with salt, added for flavor and additional preservation. This mixture can preserve vegetables for months without refrigeration, creating shelf-stable nutrition when fresh options disappear. I learned this firsthand during an extended camping trip last summer when our cooler failed. Using apple cider vinegar solutions, I preserved fresh vegetables we'd brought for the entire 2-week expedition. The pickled vegetables actually improved in flavor over time and provided essential nutrients that prevented the dietary monotony that usually makes extended outdoor trips challenging. The medical applications have been documented for centuries, though modern medicine often overlooks these traditional uses. Apple cider vinegar can help stabilize blood sugar levels when dietary options become limited to high carbohydrate stored foods. It supports digestive function when eating unfamiliar food combinations. During stressful situations, these health benefits become more valuable than typical daily nutrition. What concerns me most is how few people understand the connection between apple supplies and vinegar availability. Most consumers think vinegar just appears on store shelves, regardless of agricultural conditions. They don't realize that poor apple harvests directly impact vinegar production capacity for the following year. The production process requires time that can't be accelerated. Quality apple cider vinegar undergoes fermentation periods measured in months, not days. When apple supplies become limited, vinegar producers can't simply increase output by working faster. The biological processes that create beneficial compounds require specific timeframes that modern manufacturing can't shortcut. Storage diversity matters too. Smart preppers aren't just buying one large container. They're securing multiple smaller bottles to prevent contamination of their entire supply if one container becomes compromised. Once opened, apple cider vinegar maintains quality longer than most pantry items, but sealed containers offer maximum longevity. There you have it. 6 foods that smart preppers are quietly securing right now, while everyone else remains distracted by headlines and social media noise. Whole grain pasta, canned tomatoes, specialty legumes, coconut oil, apple cider vinegar, and one final item I haven't revealed yet. These aren't panic purchases. They're calculated decisions based on real supply chain intelligence that most people won't recognize until it's too late. The families taking action today will maintain their food security while others face empty shelves and premium prices. Don't wait for mainstream confirmation of what's already happening. The window is closing fast and the prepared families are already moving.